But looking at the situation and the historical nature that we have when it comes to government change, I don't think that it's unjustifiable to speak, because at the end of the day, you ask yourself why a government that was leaving should want to pad agencies with people when it had 8 years to do so and didn't do so. Affirms markings and the rest of them are saying that it is not a constitutional thing to do so, that one had to use discretionary powers justifiably, and all that. But I am of the view that if you're a government in power for 8 years, you've not been able to create an enabling environment for people to get jobs, you've not created the jobs yourself for them to also get into. All that you've done is virtually padding security agencies, creating avenues that did not produce anything, so to speak. Then one starts to ask why you would want to pad when you're leaving, bearing in mind that the situation on the ground is that we don't have the resources, we are broke, and how can a broke country take in so many people? From what I was hearing from the government spokesperson, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, he came out with certain issues that some of them did not even apply. Didn't have any application letters, some didn't go through the process, some of them were backdated. These are all acts of criminality.
The worst, which one? The Auditor General?
No.
The Sraj?
No, when you came into office, the people you also threw away.
80,000.
Based on the fact that they were appointed from the 7th of January. No. You see, we always have to look at Ghana first.
The youth politicians don't do that.
He was looking at Goku.
Wow.
We always look for Ghana first.
You are looking for Goku.
Okay. Have you been able to convince yourself first, convince the people of Ghana that these withdrawals are proper? I think that's the topic.
But you did the same.
Yeah. Are you now saying by this question? Are you now saying that if, assuming without admitting that was the case, that clothes you with the right to do what you are doing now?
Exactly not.
Precisely. And that's the focus of the discussion.
But I'm saying that's what they are telling you.
Yeah, but you can say whatever you want to say.
You don't have the moral right.
We do.
To pontificate as you do. And I was looking at something really very interesting. In Affirms Marking's letter, guess what? The case is using to persuade the president is the case that CDD put up a coalition to fight against the removal from office by President Akufo-Addo. He was using the Daniel Yao-Domelevo case to persuade the president that the Supreme Court said it is wrong to do these things. And I even also suggested that there was this case of the Theophilus Donko, which Edugyi Tamaklo conducted.
Yeah.
Another way, unlawful removal of people perceived to be NDC from office.
But go back to some of the case at the Bank of Ghana. Go back to that thing.
I have said a number of times.
To see that it is not peculiar one government.
No, and those are high office people. But I'm making the point to you that
the argument even made here seem to fuse the fact that some are political appointees and whatnot to public service appointees. It is fused. That argument being made here.
There is the recruitment issue also. And in that area, I have pointed to the fact that I have actually been a lawyer in some of these cases where the NPP NDC came into office, and then there were people who had been recruited. They just drove them away. I had to go represent them. Then
when you represented them, what was the outcome?
The outcome was a positive outcome.
Precisely. So I think that is the focus.
The NPP managed to get back into power. They repeated the same thing also drove out the people they suspected to be NDC. I had to go and represent them again.
And the outcome was?
It was a good outcome because that is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, precisely. So why don't we focus on that? Why, if we are really resetting Ghana, why don't we focus on that? The fact that the right thing has to be done. You cannot say that everyone appointed from the 7th of January onwards, when even you were declared the president, 2 days or so after that. You cannot say that everyone appointed on that day is a pardon, and therefore everyone should go reapply because we suspect.
In one case,
that cannot be.
In one case, we through an injunction process stopped the state institution from removing those people unlawfully. After a long period when the case was dragging, as is normally the situation around, sometimes they constituted a process to make sure that those people were removed through due process. Then they brought in the NPP people to take over.
Ordinarily, I would argue that every Ghanaian has a right to employment, as enshrined in the Constitution. However, employment, like you said, is not an event, it's a process. You have to go through a certain... I must say this issue we are dealing with is not new. And none of us have sat down to look at the reasons why this keep on coming and we don't find solution to it. You see, some time ago, I think that now we'll remember that we had Apollo 568, where almost 600 public servants, civil servants were dismissed in this country. They went to court and the court ruled that they should be reinstated. And then our then Prime Minister said, no court can force an employer to work with an employee. So the labor maxim became, no court can force an employee also to work with an employer, vice versa. The historical accounts are many.
The employment contract is not one of servitude. It's not one of master and servant.
Yes.
So the same way that the employee has a right to get up one day and decide that I'm not interested in this job, they can go away. Yes. The same way the employer too can terminate, but they will do that within the confines of the contract of employment and the law.
That's what I'm coming to. You see, I was talking about a certain problem that we have not addressed. When we went to the Constitutive Assembly and we wrote the Constitution, we were so happy trying to do what we called a fusion of the executive type of governance and also the Westminster type of governance. You know, the executive type is what is happening in America now. As soon as a new president comes, all the old top guys also go away and he appoints new people. Then in Britain, the situation is a bit different. This is something that we have to understand as a country that is a challenge. Because every time there's a change, this upheavals in the civil service comes up. I have listened to various arguments in relation to this particular issue. And I want to accept your situation that the outgoing government was put on notice at the transitional period, the team that said, you are doing these recruitments. And you see, recruitments are not by themselves the end. They have to be paid. And therefore, an incoming government would have to budget for whatever expenditure it has to take up. We also have not forgotten the famous single spine, which was almost thrust on Professor Mills, and that disorganized our labor cost in this country. So when an incoming government has not budgeted, it becomes a bit difficult for you to come and see this number of new employees, even more than the old employees in place. The incoming government has a duty to do strategic appointments. He finds that something will be good as my Attorney General, then he puts it there. For a good reason, they do such strategic appointments. Now, if the incoming president come to see that instead of his desire to put something, some PLA is there. You see what I'm talking about? That becomes a little bit of a problem. As for Dr. Bawumia's epistles, I'm used to it.
Just one epistle.
Just one,
and he says he's constrained because he had promised himself that he would give the president time, so he would settle in and begin the business of government. But this one, he feels he must say something. Right. And please note, he titled it Appeal.
Yes, I'm coming to that, Samson. I'm saying that I'm used to it because I've listened to him several times and he's coming out with opinions, some very legitimate, some political. Now, Dr. Bawumia, you were the vice president for this country for 8 years. And the people that you had recruited and fostered on the new government, what prevented you from recruiting them, employing them during the 8 years? The appeal, you see, as an appeal, this is accepted or not accepted. But I think the appeal is very, very unfounded, in the sense that if you, as the vice president, did not appeal to your president then to do such recruitment, I don't think it lies well in your mouth to assume the rule to be doing this appeal to a new president. Besides that, Samson, I have heard some argument that, you say you are going to do 24-hour economy and recruit more people. But did we say that we are going to do 24-hour economy and therefore somebody should do our appointment for us? We have our own strategy and how we are going to manage this country.
Government.
Come again?
Government
yes.
It's a continuum.
I understand. But
and the people who have been employed, recruited, are Ghanaians.
I understand.
So what's the problem?
The problem is that if you have not been appointed properly, you cannot be there, just defend yourself that I'm a Ghanaian and therefore I should be there. For example, I'm over 60 years, and if I'm found as a CEO of an organization just because I'm a Ghanaian, I have seen a video or a picture of some immigration officers or some prison officers of some people shorter than the requirement of the police service. I've seen them very short. Some are, very old people.
That's not what we are talking about here, are we?
Yes,
because there is no investigation that has been conducted to show that these people were improperly recruited and that any regulations or rules or laws were breached in their recruitment.
Samson, the best thing to do is to halt the process and do an investigation. I heard my very good friends, Akwasia, saying that the portal will be reopened for people to now apply or reapply. And if you qualify by the standard that the government will set, you'll be readmitted.
It is state funds that were used for the process. The state funds have to be used again. That's waste. That's like causing financial loss. If the people you are throwing away, you will need the same number of people, and those people have the opportunity to come back.
That is to say that we will need the same number and the same type of people. If we will not need the same short people in our police services, if we will not need the same overaged persons in our services, it cannot be the same number. You understand?
Thank you, Samson.
Yes, briefly, what's the intervention you want to make?
Okay, so it has to do with a few things that my teacher, the panel member on your show just said. First and foremost, let me say, I think it has been said by other panelists, Mr. Ambassador, that the issue of Gazette is a very interesting one, and something you rightly said that the court didn't just say it was Gazette, and the court never said that he was relying on social media. In fact, the ruling, I don't know if you've not cited it, I'll send it to you. You know, it's a very simple one. As Mr. Ambassador said, that you need, the Electoral Commission would have to remit the gazetted results to Parliament before they are even ready. The Electoral Commission on the 24th day of December called the press conference and said that they had gazetted 274, 24th. We filed the thing on 31st. Electoral Commission, it's all over. Your Joy FM reported it. The press conference was organized by Bosman Asari. He said they had gazetted 274 constituencies, which only excluded Domiko Abinya and then Ablekuma. It meant that Akwatia was included, and they had remitted him to the clerk to Parliament. Now, the Regulation 43 of the CI says that when the return officers are done, they are supposed to submit the results to the commission, and the commission would have to gazette it, and soon thereafter remit the writ of elections to the speaker. The speaker is the clerk. The clerk is on record to have said that he received the writ of elections on the 23rd of December. The writ of election, which included that of Akwatia. And the writ of elections could not have been sent to him without the Gazette notification. So it's a very interesting matter that is coming up. It is either somebody was doing politics or is deliberately hiding something. We based upon that, and we say, look, there is no law that says that in filing the petition, you have to add the hard copy of the Gazette notification.
No.
So really, there's no law that says that.
Yeah, it's not required. It's not required.
It's not required.
Yeah.
So you only file and say that indeed it has been done. And when we went to court, we proved to the court that the press conference was done by the EC. It is reported in Ghana News Agency, the official news mouthpiece of the state. We also said that we also exhibited a notice from the clerk to Parliament inviting the members of Parliament to register pursuant to the writ of elections that he had received. And so it was irregular. But you came to court and you sought to step aside and said that the Gazette was not done. Something. In our case, we relied on the presumption of regularity because the EC himself had said that they had done it. If you came to court and said it had not been done, an official duty had not been done, the onus was now on you to produce something to show that it had not been done. They came to court without anything.
And the court held that there was no problem with the issue of Gazette, also relying on the Collins Dada case.
Yes,
is that right?
The Collins Dada case and then the ex-party Baba Jamal.
Yeah, because I have read the order of the court of the day.
Absolutely.
All right. So what are your expectations now? Is it true or it is not that the contempt process, whilst it was pending, there had been other processes upstairs, as in Court of Appeal, and even before the same judge, for stay of proceedings, among other things, and the judge simply brushed them aside and went ahead to deal with the contempt and convicted the MP?
Townsend, thank you very much for this question. A simple answer to you. Contempt action is quasi-criminal. Look, the suit number for the main action, the main petition, is EI, and note this, that will settle the matter, is EI/04/2025. That is the suit number for the main action. The suit number for the contempt action is EAS/KF/AC/E11/04/2025/CA/22/2025. Different. So you don't file a process on the petition itself, seeking to certiorari on it and a stay of execution and all that. That is in relation to the petition. This is strike. It relates to the petition itself. Contempt is different. So that
is it the case or it is not that an Eskumi's lawyer stood up, at least one person, I understand it's Ajumako or so, stood up when you were arguing the contempt application, and the judge insisted that there's no, as it were, filing of a notice to show that he's the lawyer in the matter, therefore he will not be heard. So the judge refused to hear him. Is that the case?
Okay, so that's not what happened exactly. The judge gave 3 different opportunities. What do you call it? Hearing notice to him, to an Eskumi. Of course, you know the Order 50 says that you should serve it on him personally, not a lawyer, because it's a criminal. So we served it on him. He didn't come to court the first time. Instead, Gary brought this issue of bias. Gary had filed an application asking the court the judge to recuse himself. He said, "How can you come?"
Let's stay right there where you got to first. So he was served and asked to come to court because it's criminal in nature. He was supposed to be in court. He was not there.
Himself. Yes.
So he was not there.
He wasn't twice.
Okay. Was a bench warrant issued for him?
No. He didn't. It's an application. So if you elect not to present yourself, that's why it's not pure criminal. It's quasi.
Okay.
And so it's an application. And so the rules of court, the CI 47 regulates it. Not really the procedure, but the court has the power to proceed without you because you elected not to come. Now the court, I argue, I argue that day no lawyer was in court. It was ruling, the day for the ruling of another having noticed the non-stop. And then that I'm sure that was the case that he did. He got up and the address after opened laptop and was about to do it. And then also said he repeated the NS. And then said, I don't know you. This is a critical matter. Getting this from the
it's breaking.
Yeah, your line is breaking, but don't you agree? One of the points they raise. It's a quasi criminal, so a lawyer doesn't need to file any process. They can show up.
That is what I'm coming to.
They can show up in court at any time and they must be heard, right?
Let me say that the judge used the word or the phrase file appearance loosely because they had not filed. Gary had not responded to the application on behalf of Kumi. Kumi had not been in court. We know who a busybody is. How do you come to court when the contempt law is not even there on a crazy criminal matter? You have
I'm sorry because we don't have time. Tell me this: he's been convicted. There's a warrant for his arrest to face a sentence. Is he being executed?
It is. I have seen processes done by the court yesterday. It was moved out to the appropriate courts. So we believe at that point, it is not in my hands any longer. It is with the court and then...
How are you going to execute it? He's an MP. If you meet him on the way, he will tell you he's on his way to Parliament. And the law says you cannot arrest him or serve any process on him. If you meet him, if you meet him at a certain point, you can say he's from Parliament to another parliamentary business, or he's from Parliament to home. And you are not supposed to arrest him according to law.
That is so. But something, if he is found at a funeral this morning, what will he say?
Maybe he's on his way to a parliamentary process. Okay, please have a good day.